So I am in the Jeep Avenger, the car of the year for 2023. My second video on this vehicle, and today we're taking it out for a drive. We're going to be telling you all about the driving experience, its safety features. It's got plenty of those available, the different driving modes, and that important question, the real world driving range, which I know is so critical to most people. We'll be testing that. We'll be testing the charging experience, and one very unique thing to Jeep here are these very special driving modes they've added to the car to deal with rough surfaces, which is unique to Jeep when compared to the other cars on this platform. But if you're new here, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. My name's Luke, and welcome to another episode of The Future is Electric. Alright, so driving experience. So this is the smallest Jeep has ever made, essentially. So while it keeps a lot of the Jeep-esque features, right? So it's unmistakably a Jeep. It is actually very compact. So it is targeting possibly a new buyer, someone who's always wanted a Jeep, but didn't want to use it in a small city-like environment, like is the case here in Malta. So it's quite compact. I talk extensively about this and its platform in my tech review, so make sure you go check that out if you haven't. I dive into the battery technology, electric motor, etc, etc. But today we're taking it out on the road, as I've said. So driving position, nice and high up. Not as high up as a traditional Jeep, but I don't mind that, especially in an urban environment. As you can see, I have plenty of headroom in my comfortable driving position. I am 1 meter 83 centimeters, by the way. Steering extremely light, right? So this is like incredible. Of course, the interior, the screen is just amazing. So it's this nice huge screen, very responsive. The brightness is dialed in even on a bright sunny day like today. I can see it without any problems. And the best comfort feature for me has to be the wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So you sync it once and then it just pairs right away as you get into the vehicle. So a lot of cars come with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but they're not always wireless. So you have to plug it in, and I don't really like plugging in my phone because it means it's constantly charging even if it doesn't need to. So with the wireless option, you can have your phone in your car, not necessarily charging, and then it's connecting right away. And I've been using it over this weekend and it's worked absolutely flawlessly. My only complaint about the screen is when I had the Apple Maps running in, or the Google Maps rather, in the screen, the fact that it's so like, the orientation of the screen is very, very landscape, if that's a word. And it basically makes the map very, very narrow, which it's not the most comfortable experience, to be honest, but I mean, it's something you will live with, I guess. And what you're hearing in the background, by the way, are the sounds of the indicators. Let me put them on again. Snoop D-O-double-G. No, I will not try to rap. Nearly did there. But I mean, this is amazing, right? I like it. I've had the car for 2 days. I still like it. I'm not sure after a year, but for now, I like it. So let's talk a bit about that region. So I explained this in the tech review, but now we're here now out on the road. One thing I really like, I didn't think I'm going to like it, to be honest, is how you switch basically between park, reverse, neutral and drive. It's the first time from the cars we've driven on the channel that we've seen the sort of selection mode being from these buttons here in the center console. And the regen mode, the B mode, right, is activated by pressing again the drive button, and a little orange LED lights up to indicate you've activated the B mode. But let me tell you, you will know you have activated it, because the second you let go of the accelerator, which is what I'm about to do after I turn this bend, the car starts to decelerate. The feeling is very similar, to be honest, to the other models on this platform, so that's probably the same technology exactly. It is not a one pedal driving mode, I have to be clear here, so the car does not come to a complete halt. You do need to apply the brake pedal, but it's very comfortable. Now, if this feature, so to speak, which is unique to electric cars, is not for you, you can of course leave it off, and then you've got very, very mild regen, almost unnoticeable on the normal B mode. Now, we also have a number of safety features in the vehicle. So of course we have pedestrian and cyclist protection, so it's going to use all the sensors, all the cameras that the cars have to make sure those vulnerable road users stay safe around you. It has automatic emergency braking, so that's working through the use of a radar found at the front of the vehicle, which will first warn you and then apply the brakes if it needs to do that. We are at the chicken roundabout, so if you've been watching other videos on my channel, we've made it to the chicken roundabout. There's basically a bunch of chickens here. Okay. I wish you could see this. A chicken just literally crossed the road. Why did the chicken cross the road? Maybe to test out my emergency braking features. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below why you think the chicken crossed the road. I was talking about those emergency braking features. So if the car sees that you don't react fast enough, it will apply those emergency brakes. Now, I've tested these features on a similar car on this platform, and they do work very, very well. I've never had an actual emergency brake, but the warnings, when the warnings come up, I've experienced that, and it's incredible, because usually it happens when, say, the car in front of you, you're moving at a bit of speed, the car in front of you lets go of its accelerator, so not necessarily brakes, but lets go of its accelerator because it's going to do a left or a right turn, and the car detects that instantly, which is very, very nice to see. So one neat feature that the Jeep has here is the auto lane keep. So if it's gonna detect that I'm drifting off my lane, I'm gonna do that safely now. It takes over the steering wheel and repositions the car back in the center of the lane. Now, of course, if you've been watching the channel, we've seen that before, though I have to be honest, the way it's being done here is a very nice and smooth experience, so it doesn't jerk you back to the middle of the lane. It's a nice sort of transition, and so I do think they've done it very nicely over here. So another nice feature is the traffic sign recognition, which basically the car is using that front-facing camera, seeing the traffic signs as they go by, and it will display them in the dash over here. And I find that most useful, to be honest, for the road speed. Sometimes you forget what speed you should be driving where, and the car would have seen the last speed. Basically, it's marking 80 at the moment for me, even though there's no 80 signs in front of me. That's the last one it recognized, and it's putting it over there. In the case of speed as well, if it sees that you're speeding, you're higher than the speed limit, basically the icon on the screen just grows to like keep you in check as to how fast you should be driving. So that works nicely. It works for like no entry signs and stop signs, and they get brought up over there, and it's a nice, I think, little handy feature, which again, I find the most useful when it comes to speed. So another thing the car does very nicely is the blind spot detection. So that's a little LED light that comes up on your side mirrors on either side of the vehicle whenever it detects, through the use of sensors, something or someone in your blind spot. And I have experienced that, and I do think they're a godsend. I think those should be features which are enforced by law, that every car should have, because we are all inevitably going to end up with a motorcycle in our blind spot at some point or another, and that feature is so comfortable and so easy to use that I think it should always be there. And as I said, it does work very nicely in this car. Now let's talk a bit about the different driving modes. So we have the driving modes are toggled from the center here, and basically there is a normal mode, there is a sport mode and an eco mode. We're used to seeing those on a lot of cars. Basically in normal mode you get around 100 brake horsepower. In sport mode you get the full 156 brake horsepower that the car is able to give basically, and in eco mode of course that is reduced even further. That also affects the thermal features, how strong the air conditioning or the heating system is working. And obviously in eco mode then the car though will give you the maximum amount of range possible, so you get to switch between those. Personally I generally leave it in normal mode. Now Jeep have gone a step further being a Jeep, so this is a front wheel drive vehicle, so it's not all wheel drive as we're used to seeing with Jeep, but through the use of some clever software they've added sand, mud and snow modes as driving modes, and basically those modes try to preempt. Hold on, we interrupt this program for a dose of internal combustion. Alright, he's gone. Basically those driving modes preempt the road conditions, and through very fine control. Remember that electric motor can be controlled with a lot of precision, and through some interesting, I'm sure, and complicated algorithms, which I'm sure they have some nice patents on, they've adjusted the way the torque and the speed is applied so you get out of these sticky situations. Now I am unable, unfortunately, to test the snow mode here in Malta because frankly we have no snow. So, but I am going to see if there is a difference. So I'm going to go to I'm not going off-road. This is a new car. We'll save that to someone who wants to fill it up with dust. But I am going to go to a very steep hill, and I'm going to test the car in going up this hill in normal mode. We're going to see what tire slippage we get, etc. And then I'm going to test it on the other two modes, the sand and the mud mode, to see if there's any difference there in the way the car goes up the hill. So I'm approaching and I'm going towards that hill now. Right, we're at the base of this very steep hill. I'm going to stop the car completely at the bottom. We're in normal mode, and I'm going to apply enough gas that the wheels would probably skid a bit. Let me tell you, even in normal mode the car just eats it up, because remember that electric motor is offering a lot of torque even from a standstill. But there was a bit of wheel slippage, so it's going to be interesting once we test out the same hill, the different modes, to see if there is a difference there. So basically I'm going to drive back around and we'll repeat the test with the other driving mode. So this part will be fast forwarded. Alright, we are back at the base of the hill. I'm gonna try sand mode now, see how that goes. So again, turn it around, complete stop and accelerate. So definitely a lot better grip. You could actually feel the difference in what the wheels are doing there, and so I did definitely see a difference. So if, I don't know, you have a steep ramp coming out of your own personal garage, this is going to be very useful. So that's sand. We'll try mud and see how that goes. Okay, back at the base of the hill. We're now in mud mode, the last one we're going to try out. So again, full stop, wheel straight and go. So a lot better. I think the sand mode worked best, probably because our tarmac here motor is just full of construction dust. So That's probably why the sand mode performed best. But I definitely noticed a difference from these modes to the normal mode. So as I said, there's some clever software there on how that electric motor is firing and the torque it's applying to that Jeep have done, and this is proprietary to them, to still give you that all-wheel drive feeling that Jeeps are known for, even though, as I said, this is a front-wheel drive vehicle. One thing I'd like to emphasize about these driving modes is this is not traction control, right? The car still has that. Traction control is applied after the car starts to skid, when it feels the wheels are turning not at the same rate. Basically, it's going to adjust that. These are preempting the road conditions, so they're sort of prepared for slippage beforehand and dealing with it better. So that's the difference here. So I'm going to get it back into normal mode because we are back on the road, and destination now is my favorite charging spot, because we've gone there a few times on the channel, all the way in the north of the island. I'm going to go there and I'm going to test out the charging experience for you. We're going to plug it in, we're going to see what speed we get, and so I will see you there. I'm testing an AC charger here, so not a DC fast charger, but I'm going to see that we get the full 11 kilowatts that this car should be giving us, and how long that in turn results of it needing to charge. Another thing I am monitoring and I'll be sharing with you very soon is the efficiency rating of this car, right? How many kilowatt hours does it require to run 100 kilometers? And I have them up on screen and I'll be sharing these with you. This is important because this lets us calculate the real world driving range. Okay, we've made it. Reverse. The reversing camera is actually nice and crisp. There's also this drone view which sort of shows you the road from the top. And I'm gonna park somewhere here. Okay, park, handbrake. Now I don't need to charge, just to be clear. This car has 400 kilometers of range. That's going to last the average driver here in Malta 2 weeks before having to need to charge. I'm just here, I'm going to charge, I'm at 67%. I'm just going to plug it in to see what the experience is like and share it with you. We don't actually need to charge the car. Let's charge it. Alright, so I've plugged in the car. It's charging at a rate of 70 kilometers per hour, and there you go, the time just updated. It was basically 70 kilometers per 100, because usually we're used to the kilowatt rating, right? It's much easier to compare charging speeds than like this, but that is the full 11 kilowatt hour. So it's charging at 3-phase. We're on the road network here, and so that is the maximum amount, and it's saying charging complete in 1 hour and 48 minutes. Now we don't actually need to charge, so I'm gonna stop it and we're gonna get back on our way. So let's talk a bit about the real world efficiency here. So just to be clear, I've been driving the car with the air conditioning on around 21 degrees all the time I've been using it. I've also cycled through all the driving modes, so it's not like I've left it on eco mode to get the most amount of range. The temperature outside today was around 27 degrees Celsius, which is important to this to what I'm about to say, since that is close to the ideal battery temperature of 25 degrees. So what was the real world efficiency number? And that's important because we can backtrack and calculate the actual on the road range of the vehicle. So as I can see from the screen in front of me, so the claimed range by Jeep is 15.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That means the car uses just under 16 kilowatt hours to drive 100 kilometers. What did I achieve? Well, right now it's marking that in the past 30 minutes of driving I am achieving 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. If I have a look at the past hour of driving, 16.1, and the past 180 minutes of driving, 15.9. So bang on the claimed figure. And I'll be honest, in that 30-minute figure, I actually saw some better numbers as well. So it did even better than that at certain points in time. So what does this all mean? Well, this means that the car is achieving the efficiency rating it is rated at here in Malta in our driving conditions, which means the 400 kilometers WLTP rating, which, let me tell you, for the average driver is good enough for 2 whole weeks of driving before needing to charge again. It essentially means that this car is achieving that in the real world conditions, which is amazing to see. What I'm very impressed by, because I've driven other vehicles on this platform, which I speak about extensively in the tech focused review, but those were the sort of first generation of this platform. This is the second generation, and you can really see from these efficiency numbers the improvements they've managed to make in the battery, in the electric motor, etc. So we've taken it out for a spin. We've tried the real world efficiency numbers, coming out very surprised at the improvements they've made on this underlying platform. I told you about the driver assistance features and the safety features, and I think from my end I just want to say a special thanks to Motors Inc. and Jeep Malta for giving me the car this weekend and essentially letting me try it out. If you have a Jeep Avenger, I want to hear from you in the comments below, your experience having the vehicle a bit longer than I have these few days, right? But as always, before that, if you haven't watched it, make sure you check out my tech focused review. I think it's the reviews that this channel is known for. Very different from any other review, and this one I talk specifically about the tech, the battery tech, the electric motor tech, and I think those are so important in electric vehicles nowadays. So make sure you check it out. I am linking that in the description below. But as always, I hope I and the Jeep Avenger have convinced you that the future is electric.